Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another video. And we are concluding our Tower in the Hive series with Tower in the Hive. The fifth book in the Tower in the Hive series was kind of tricky to read, admittedly. But it was fun, and it actually ties things together quite well. The search for the Hive species from Lion's Pride continues, and they basically, once they find the home world, now we have to find a way to end the war. Because there are strict rules in the 9-star league or alliance, or whatever you want to call it, regarding how to deal with situations like this. And in general, one of the things that was discussed, I think, in Lion's Pride was, how do we beat these things? The Merdini, as I said in, I think it was the Damir's Children video, they didn't know how to pierce the Hive warships, so what they would do is they would kamikaze their way into destroying these things. And in Lion's Pride, they actually discuss at some point how they plan on doing, how they plan on defeating these Hivers. And one idea that they throw around is straight up wiping out the species, just destroying them completely so that they can't come back and cause trouble again. And if that sounds harsh, that's because it is. I mean, and all the while this is happening, because this is the primary focus for Tower in the Hive, is the solution. How do you deal with a species like this? Do we wipe them out? Do we try to communicate with them? How do we communicate with a species that doesn't have vocal cords, essentially? Well, vocal cords in a typical sense. Now, I am going to spoil the book slightly here, but they do eventually kind of figure out a way to end the war without committing an act of genocide, or speciescide. I don't know what to call it. Genocide makes more sense. And at the same time that they solve this problem, they also kind of figure out a way to help the Merdini with their population issue, which I thought was pretty good. It was a neat little sideline. And that's basically the plot. It's if Lion's Pride was the long chase scene, right, chasing the Hivers to their homeworld, then Tower in the Hive would be the aftermath, the idea of, okay, now we found these guys, how do we deal with them? And considering that, and there's a lot of like political drama in this particular installment, we get a nice little reference to, I think it's to ride Pegasus, or to the Pegasus trilogy in general, where they talk a little bit about how the Federal Telepath and Teleportation company sort of came about, how the talents came about in general. And that I thought was a nice little nod, and it's not done in a way that that confuses you. You kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, so bit of past history. Cool. Truck just drove past. So yeah, it's more like a little throwaway nod to the Pegasus trilogy than anything else. Characters, as always, are very likable. Everybody plays a part, and the cast of characters here, while it is massive, the focus is a little bit more contained, so we don't have 101 things happening at once with a dozen different characters. Everybody has a little, a bit of time to kind of to shine. Let's put it that way. In terms of cons or problems that I had with the book, I didn't really have a problem. I thought this was probably the slowest book in the series because there was a lot of political arguments and things like that. But at the same time, it doesn't come across as just just unnecessary. Do I wish the book was faster paced? Maybe, just a little bit. But at the same time, the political machine is slow in this book, apparently. So, yeah, I didn't really have a problem. The romantic relationships in the book are, for the most part, they're okay. Roger gets his little romance with a cousin of his, albeit a distant cousin, but still. And that was, admittedly, it was kind of weird. The first time I read the book, it was kind of weird, and it is still kind of weird to me. I mean, I don't know, what are you supposed to say about a romantic relationship with a family member? Yeah, really. And it is somewhat addressed that, hey, they are cousins, but it's so distant that doesn't really matter. So, but yeah, that was, it's kind of, crap. Wasps. But yeah, it's kind of explained and addressed, and then never really brought up after that. It plays out kind of like a Disney fairy tale where they, especially like the older ones, where they, they lived happily ever after, the end kind of thing, which was admittedly pretty good. I did kind of wonder if they were going to do something a little bit more. I actually would have loved to see more of these characters in other books, or maybe doing cameo appearances. And maybe I'll find a couple of cameos in some of McCaffrey's other books. I have to say the only reason I managed to get through this book was Anne McCaffrey's writing style, because, and I know I've said this for the other books in the series as well, but her writing style is very easy to follow. There's no one point where you feel overwhelmed. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say. I can't believe I didn't bring this up in the previous reviews, but she has a very visual writing style where you can kind of picture it in your head and go, okay, so this is what she's describing. This is the character that she is describing to us. Ooh. Ooh, excuse me, guys. So yeah, that was Tower in the Hive. I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought that, and I mean, this is now a 5-book series, or rather, an 8-book series if you include the Pegasus trilogy. But, and generally, in a series, the first book is great, the second book is good, the third book is, the first one is great, the second one is between okay and good, and after that they just go downhill, right? In this case, not really. The story kind of, it stayed very consistent. Every book was a story of its own that linked to the other stories. So yeah, it stayed very consistent in terms of its tone, and the story was well done. So yeah, I really don't know what else to say. So yeah, that was Tower in the Hive. I can't believe I've actually managed to push out 5 reviews in the past 3 or 4 days, or in the past week or so. Likewise, I also can't believe that tomorrow is actually Christmas. Oy vey. I was actually going to release this video after Christmas, but I figured I've already done 2 reviews for Christmas Eve. Why not put a third one up? And that just leaves the 2018 highlights, sort of looking back on 2018, plans for 2019 video. And yeah, tomorrow is Christmas, so I will be chilling with my family. Have a good Christmas, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Cheers.